You are listening to WHOA Podcast, coming to you from Gainesville, Florida. Good morning, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the WHOA GNV Podcast, the podcast bringing you businesses and individuals that make you go, whoa. Today on the show, we have Drew Stuerman, founder and CEO of Hello Potato Donuts, baby, an independently owned and operated donut food truck in Gainesville, Florida. What's up, man?
What's going on? Good morning, Gainesville.
Dude, I'm super excited that you're here. I actually remember when we first started doing the podcast, you had kind of reached out to us early on, and I was like, man, this is going to be awesome. Yeah. But I said, I want more time. I want to hear like what happens. Yeah,
let's hold off until he struggles for several months.
Get out there, struggles for Let's get through some of that grind of the startup life, and then let's have him in here and let's talk about some of these things. Yeah, so I'm excited to get into it.
I'm super excited too.
But before we do that, I want to introduce my good friend and guest co-host today, Joe Lowry Jr., managing partner of Lowry Financial Advisors and the immediate past board chair of Junior Achievement of Alachua County. What's up, man?
How you doing? It's good to be here.
I'm excited to have you here. That's like, I did really good on those mouthfuls.
You did great.
Did you guys see that?
Really,
that was a long
That was a long,
yeah.
And I'm not gonna lie, I practiced those ones right before the show. Just make sure I could read my own chicken scratch here on my paper. So, well, welcome to the show, man. Thanks for representing Junior Achievement.
Yeah.
Why don't you explain to Gainesville and everybody else what Junior Achievement is and what they do, and maybe some of the cool things they have going on in 2019?
Yeah, sure thing. So, Junior Achievement's primary focus is to provide financial literacy to kids from kindergarten to 12th grade. So, I've been a volunteer for a little bit more than 12 years. I was on the board for probably about 10. I became involved initially because a young woman who I actually knew when she was a kid, she was kind of a featured student for JA. And so she spoke about how a Junior Achievement had helped her and her mother really build and structure their home cleaning business, which was their primary source of income. And I hadn't seen her for years. And to see that there was a program that was helping young people and their families, improve their lives was really powerful to me, and I wanted to get involved. So I volunteered and have since done other things. This concept of financial literacy is something that's not really getting taught any other way. There are some efforts, I think, to make it a mandatory part of some curriculum, but as of now, it just doesn't exist. And I'm very fortunate. My father's a financial advisor. I grew up around the business. I joined the business, and so financial literacy is very comfortable to me. It's something I was really aware of and close to, but for a lot of people it's not. And so we reach about 6,000 students in the county every year. We have a really ambitious goal moving forward, though, and that's to bring a specific program to all fifth graders in Alachua County each and every year. And it's something called JA BizTown. BizTown is like a little city. It's an opportunity for fifth graders to play a role. There's a mayor. Every business has a manager or a CEO. There's employees, and there's some preparation that takes place. But then ultimately, there's this capstone experience where they go to BizTown. They play all these roles. I love that it's fifth grade because that's an age where I can't remember a lot of third grade or second grade. Mm-hmm. Or certainly not kindergarten, but fifth grade, maybe because it's the end of elementary school or there's other cool stuff going on. But fifth grade is a memorable time, and I think that's a great period for kids to have this experience. And for me, I think one of the great things that JA teaches is self-knowledge. We want kids to understand a little bit more about themselves and who they are and what they like and what they don't like and what they're good at. And I think that's really one of the great things that JA does, and that's a big reason why I continue to be involved. So our goal is to have this up and running by spring of 2020. It's going to be hosted by the Cade Museum. There are several large biz towns in existence. There's one in Tampa, but it's just not feasible to take all these kids down there. The resources just aren't there to bust them down and do all that. So we're working to raise money to build a mobile biz town, which we'll share with a couple of other JA chapters.
Well, like in a food truck type setting?
Exactly. It's a financial literacy food truck. And so there is a food component. The kids eat lunch and the kids eat breakfast. But so right now we're trying to find businesses that want to occupy storefronts. We're being sponsored. Primary sponsor is Campus USA Credit Union, which is very generous to Junior Achievement. And of course, the Cade making the space available is tremendous. And so, if anyone wants to get involved, wants to explore having their business get involved, there's a lot of different opportunities to do that, and which is great recognition for the businesses as well.
What does that look like? Is that purely sponsorship, or is it?
It's let me check my notes. Yeah, for $5,000 a year for 5 years, your business will be a named part of BizTown. So when kids show up, they will work at New Scooters for Less at BizTown.
Will they be selling scooters?
Yeah, or a form. Really, it could be whatever you want. So let's say you instead you wanted to be a radio company. You could do Repaint the Wall radio or Halo Potato Donuts. Yeah. Could branch into
start
lunch.
Them out young.
Yeah, exactly. There you go. So it's we're entrepreneurial people, and so if someone wants to get involved, we can find a way to make that work. Yeah.
Now, from the financial literacy part, I mean, is that really, is it in like their personal lives, and then with BizTown, is it really in the business part of their life? Like, is it really to kind of teach them? I mean, 'cause I'll be honest, like even in college, I didn't even learn anything about QuickBooks or anything.
I'm still going and getting and seeking advice from people because that was not taught at all.
Right, like business owners are even trying to learn this stuff. So I mean, to
some of the
learn
some of the high school programs do look a little bit more at the business side of things. Okay. So there's a great program called the Company Program, where kids over a 12-week or 13-week period will identify a product or a service. They raise capital to produce that. They sell it, and then they liquidate the company. And all the members are shareholders, and so they're involved in the financial management, the accounting, the human resources, the marketing. Eighth grade and lower, including BizTown, is going to be a little more of a personal focus. So the kids get paid. They go to the bank. They make deposits. They have to write a check. They have a little card. So their lunch, they pay for their lunch. And so they are in a kind of a professional role and a learning role, but they're also understanding how they have to manage their own affairs over a course of a day. And there's some, like I said, some preparatory stuff before that. So a lot of it is helping kids be ready to enter the workforce, or at least have some of the framework that it's so much of this is repetition. You'll have it, and I hope that it's kind of lodged there in the back of the brain, and when the opportunity comes up, at least a kid would say, hey, I'm not afraid of this. I know there are people who know this stuff who can help me. There's that JA volunteer or someone who is a nice person who came and spent 7 weeks or 1 day or whatever it is. There's a lot of different volunteer options. And what I love, the reason I volunteer in the high school level, is I like getting to know the kids. I'm in there once a week for 12 weeks, and I never finish a program without feeling better about society. There's a tendency to look at the younger generation and be critical. You can't spend time with kids today and not say, we're going to be okay. They do things differently than I did, and especially as I get older, and I'm more than twice their age now, and all my jokes are like dumb dad jokes. They're not, my pop culture references are, not what they're used to, but they're still pretty tolerant of me.
So do you guys need, do you have a need for volunteers as well?
Yeah, always have a need for volunteers, especially people who can devote maybe an hour a week for a 7 to 12 week period, depending on what it is. We are doing our best to expand into, there's some schools where we've been for a long time. Beholtz has been very accepting of us. They have some programs that are a really good fit, but we're doing more at GHS and more at Eastside. And I'd say that high school level is really, from a volunteer standpoint, where the greatest need is. Middle school and elementary school, those are a lot of one-day programs, and so you can go in there and spend 3 or 4 hours, and it's nice if you don't have that ability time-wise. And we have great support from UF, and actually from a group of kids at Beholtz that they recruited by themselves. I think they saw 4,000 or 5,000 kids this year.
Wow.
Which is one thing we want to be with. The thing I love is connecting volunteers with students. That's the core of it. And we raise money to fund these programs, but my passion is for being in the classroom. And BizTown is kind of a beautiful way to combine a business sponsorship angle, spending time with children, helping them learn a little bit more about literacy and also about themselves. At the end of this high school program, I always tell the kids, I don't care if you how it is. There's 30 kids in there. There's about, the 80-20 rule applies. There's about 6 to 8 that are going to be really involved. And and there's a group of them that are going to hate it. And I said, that's fine. You can hate it. If you discover, I don't like working, I don't like being in charge, I don't ever want to start a business, that's not a failure. that's not everyone's going to be an entrepreneur. And so I want them to learn a little bit more about themselves so that when they get to college or, later levels, they're saying, okay, I remember that experience I had. I know enough about myself that I'm going to make better choices and hopefully be happier. And, when the time comes, you're ready for that beautiful, delicious food truck.
That's right. Well, that's great, man. So why don't you tell everybody where they can, get involved, find Junior Achievement? Where's the best place?
Yeah, so we have a presence on Facebook, Junior Achievement of Alachua County. There's a Twitter, which I think is J Alachua. We have 2 employees that work in this area that are their job is 100% Junior Achievement. Kristen Schreiner, who can be reached 352-727-0178. She's our executive director for the area, and Jessica Blagden, who coordinates all the educational programs. Was
that her cell phone?
I think it was, but she gave it to me on purpose. Okay. So she said, "You can give this number out."
Blast this out to everyone.
She's super and does a wonderful job of connecting people with opportunities to participate.
Awesome. Yeah, well, man, thanks for being here. Thanks for representing Junior Achievement. And are you ready to interview Drew with some questions and stuff? We're gonna have a good time.
Let's do it,
man. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Hey, dude, I really appreciate you bringing in breakfast this morning. You guys.
Just take one bite.
The food guests are really learning. The food guests are really learning about bringing the food in the morning, especially when it's like 8 a.m. right now and it's breakfast.
See, I already finished mine.
And I've had these before. I'm not gonna this is not my first time having a Halo potato donut. Let's just be very clear.
OG.
These things are awesome. So I'm gonna eat it while you tell your origin story. But thank you for bringing breakfast.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so that's what we like to start with, right? Okay. We like to kind of go back, do did you just have a passion for donuts your entire life and you're like, yes, donut food truck, let's do this? I just want to know that origin story and yeah, man, take us back.
Awesome. So I was born and raised in Dayton, Ohio. Spent 18 years of my life there, and I don't know if you guys know anything about Ohio, but it's actually really famous for the local mom and pop donut shops. Every year in the top 10, there's 1 or 2 or even 3 in the neighboring cities that I grew up in that are always highly rated, and they're doing it the old school way, hand cut, made from scratch daily, and so I'd grown up with that. So my backing up a little bit, my parents are from Florida, Clearwater area, and my dad went to UF. My mom came here. They had my older brother. And then raised me in Gainesville and then moved up north. And so I had been raised a Gator fan my entire life, and when it was time to decide where I was going to go to school, it was, all right, stay in cloudy, cold Ohio or, move down to Gainesville. And so 5.5 years ago, I moved down to Gainesville, and my grades weren't good enough out of state to get into UF. I mean, it's just so difficult. So I went the Santa Fe route, transferred to UF, but throughout that entire time, I was never really someone that buckled down on the books and just focused on that. I was always trying to come up with different ideas, different opportunities. And
what years were you in school?
This was 2013, and I graduated in May of last year.
Okay.
Yeah. And thank you. I appreciate it. And during that time, I had explored all these different opportunities. I wanted to do barbecue. I wanted to make a rugby website because I played rugby for 9 years, just a little bit of everything, but nothing ever stuck for more than 2 or 3 months. But then I kind of had a come to Jesus moment about 2 semesters before I was graduating, and I realized, oh crap, these student loans are going to be coming due, and I need to figure out what I'm gonna do. And I knew for a fact I did not want to sit behind a computer all day. I'm just too antsy. I've got to be talking to people on the go constantly, and so.
But at that point, have you decided that you're going to be an entrepreneur, or you're like?
I think I had it in me, but forcing myself to pay back student loans and get a job kind of forced me to really buckle down and figure out what I was going to do. So it was a.
But was going and working for somebody else even at top of mind that as a possibility?
No.
Okay.
When everyone else was going to career day, I was going and
You're like, hell
driving
no.
around Gainesville hanging out. Like, I just did not see myself in that setting. And so it was August 2017. I had just gotten back from Ohio, and I had a bunch of really good donuts up there. And I came back down, and it was about a week later, and I was craving donuts again. And I realized, not to harp on the options in town, but they just weren't at the level that I was used to in Ohio. And so I realized that there was a donut problem and I needed to solve it. And so literally the next day I went to Walmart, bought a fryer, bought a mixer, came home and started YouTubing recipes and just getting stuff offline. I did cake donuts, yeast donuts, not even potato donuts at the time. So I had, in my college apartment with my 2 roommates, I had been practicing for several months, and they were just still not up to the level that I wanted. And so one day in fall 2017, I was like down in the dumps, like just trying to figure out, okay, how do I make this like a good donut? So I Googled top 10 donut shops, and for 2016, the number 1 place was this place called the Holy Donut in Portland, Maine. Never been there, but I clicked on their website. And their entire thing was this potato donut. And I was like, what the heck? And I was reading their thousands of reviews. And so I started grabbing recipes offline. And I started practicing it. And, they were all right, but not where they are today. And so fast forward to December 2017, my parents were like, hey, why don't you come up for winter break to Ohio? So I literally loaded up all my donut gear and a bunch of bins and got my dog, and we drove up to Ohio. And over winter break, I was practicing making these donuts in their kitchen. And my parents were trying them. They're like, I just don't know. Like, it's just not. They're pretty crappy. And so I was again down in the dumps. Like, oh my gosh, am I ever gonna like perfect this? And so I sat around the house, and it was snowing, and I was like, I need to get advice on this. So I actually found Lee Kellis, who owns the Holy Donut, on Twitter. She'd been inactive for a while, but I decided, hey, I'm going to shoot her a DM and see if she'll get back to me. And so late December, send her a DM. About a week later, I got a response, and it was her email.
Well,
and,
who is this?
Her name's Lee Kellis. She's the owner, founder of the
one
Holy
in Maine?
Donut. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. And she's basically the queen of potato donuts. She's the godfather. And so I reached out to her and I said, hey, college guy down in Gainesville, Florida, want to start a donut company. Really interested in these potato donuts. And so she got back to me and started helping me out. What type of equipment to get, recipes, all that different stuff. And so then she was kind enough to share the recipe that she based hers off of.
What?
Yeah, and it's been around for over 100 years, and I started practicing and got really good at it. So February comes around, and during this time, I had entered the UF Big Idea competition because I wanted to force myself to write a business plan. And so literally every single night, instead of focusing on like my actual classes, I would be focusing on writing this 50-page plan. While this is all going on, I'm trying to search for like funding. And so it was February. I decided I was going to start selling donuts out of my apartment last year. And I started selling to the rugby players late at night, started delivering to their house, started selling to my apartment complex, Cottage Grove. And it really took off, and I made social media, and all these sorority girls had started following the account and started placing deliveries. And so on my Friday and Saturday nights, my girlfriend would hop in the car and have this list, all these addresses, and go deliver them and get feedback. And so February, I'm delivering. March comes, and I'm still not sure how I'm going to fund this thing. I'm like, I don't have any money. I'm broke, paid out of state for 5 years. And so I was just like, I didn't want to force anything, but I knew that something was going to happen. So March, I'm just continuing to make donuts, perfect it. April comes, and I'm like, okay, I've got a month until I graduate. Like, what's going to happen? So I'm continuing to do the UF Big Idea competition. I placed 8th out of 200 teams, which was the highest a food team has ever gotten on there, which I felt pretty proud of, but I still was like, okay, really, how am I going to do this? So graduation comes. I still don't have any funding for the business, and then something really interesting happens. My girlfriend goes, hey, I need you to come to a baby shower with me. And it was like a Saturday, and I'm like, this sounds horrible. Like this is like the last thing that I want to do on my Saturday. But she eventually dragged me there, and I go to the baby shower, and they're unwrapping gifts. And I say, hey, I'm going to step off, go get a drink. And so there was a really tall gentleman that had stopped me because I was wearing a Gator polo. And we started talking about Gator baseball, and he goes, so you're graduating soon? And I was like, yeah, I just graduated. And he goes, well, so what are you going to do? And I was like, well, I've been working on this potato donut idea. And he was like fascinated. He told me his name. He told me he was a financial manager at UF in the journalism department. That's all I knew. And so the next day, that was the weekend. On Monday, I knew that he was going to go back to work, and I knew his name, and I was like, I'm going to find this guy. So and during that conversation at the baby shower, he said, have you ever thought about doing the Gator Hatchery program at UF? And I'm like, well, I just graduate. I don't know if they're going to accept me or anything. And so he's like, well, you should give it a try. And so the next day when I brought a dozen donuts. I walked in, said, I'm looking for so-and-so, gave him his half dozen, and he was like, what are you doing with the other half dozen? I said, well, you told me to go to take it to the Gator Hatchery, so I am. And so I went down there and I talked to Nola, who's the woman that runs the hatchery. And
real quick, for everybody who's listening who might not know, can you explain what the Gator Hatchery is?
Yeah, so the Gator Hatchery is launch pad incubator for startup companies that are run by students at UF, alumni at UF, and it's just a really good support system for companies that want to get up and going. And so I took it to Nola, and luckily she was in her office, and I popped open the half dozen, and I started telling her my story. She's fascinated, and the next day I got accepted into the program. And so the person that I delivered the donuts to, we had built a relationship, and after about a month and a half, him and his wife had asked me to come over to their house because they were interested. So I presented my business plan, and they gave me the full funding I needed. So summer of last year.
Do you mind telling us what you were seeking? Like how much?
$75,000.
Okay.
Yeah, $75,000, and it got me the whole truck, all the build out, and enough to get going.
Do you mind me asking if you gave up equity?
I did give up equity.
Okay.
25%.
Okay.
Yeah, and there was 3 partners, and they brought a lot to the table.
Awesome.
And so immediately we started. We got money in the bank, bought a food truck from a guy in Tampa that started building it out all summer, and then in August launched. And I don't know if you want me to continue.
Yeah.
So August.
So because this is kind of where you and I first started engaging, right?
Yeah,
because
absolutely.
When did I first meet you? Was it July when we were doing the thing?
It was July,
for
yeah.
New Scooters for Less. There was like an event going on, a movie night or something. Was it movie night? No, it was.
It was movie night. Yeah,
that was
Thor Ragnarok.
Yeah,
that's right.
Kind of a disaster.
Yeah, it was raining.
It was. Everybody was outside. I show up. Everybody's outside, and I'm like, oh my gosh, it's gonna storm so bad.
And it was a great day before the rain. I mean, it was beautiful.
And I had to make that CEO call.
Yeah.
I was like, oh my gosh. I'm like, if I make all these people move this thing inside and it doesn't rain, I'm going to feel like garbage. Luckily, I made everybody move inside because I was like, it's going to rain. And boom, man, that storm hit hard.
Bad.
But we had, Duncan Cabinu's big scream screen thing inside. It was cool. It was a fun night.
Awesome.
But we could have done better in terms of attendance, but it was just because of the weather. But that's when I first met
that's
you.
when you first kind of heard about Halo, and first time I'd ever actually met you in person. And
was this August of last year? Or
this is July
of
last year.
Okay.
Yeah. This is right before I was about to launch, before I even had the food truck in hand.
Yeah, because that's when I remember talking to you, and you had told me that you were getting a food truck going, and I was like, all right, let's wait until this food truck is going, because I want to hear some of that stuff.
Yeah. So August came, and I was getting up and running, and it took several weeks to get all the inspections completed. Just get used to the truck. I mean, I had never worked in that confined environment. I had to know where to put everything. And so I launched September 8th, 2018 for the football game. And it was just like, okay, let's just do this. And we sat up. The city granted us a spot on 2nd Avenue over by the law school. And I set up, and you're so high energy. Like even just selling one donut, I was like pumped. Well, we sold out. We sold out within an hour of everything we brought. And I was like, okay, this is crazy. Let's come back next game, like be even more prepared. So we came back next game, again, sold out. After leaving that game, I was like, I keep seeing all these food trucks in front of the stadium. I wonder maybe, next year if I'll get like placed out there as a approved vendor.
Do you know when they started doing that? Because I can never remember when they actually started letting the food trucks on
actually
University.
When they closed the streets, or
Scott, when
It's
Scott
right in front of-
Strickland took over as the AD, he wanted to make that like a destination, close down University, and kind of like Ole Miss does with the Grove, where it's like everyone goes there before the game, and so.
I mean, I thought it was awesome.
It
like
is.
seeing them
It's
lined up
so
out there
cool.
right on University Avenue is really cool.
And it's very they're very selective on who they allow in there. So I was hoping.
So how did you earn that sweet spot then?
So I was actually driving down to Ocala, and I get a phone call 3 days after that second game had happened, and it was the marketing director from UF Athletics. He said, "Hey, I've heard about your food truck in Eats Gainesville. You had done a write-up, and we want to get you out there." And I was like, "Holy crap! Like when? Like next year?" And he's like, "No, like this upcoming game." And I'm like, "Oh my god!"
And sorry, real quick, Ken Eats Gainesville is a food blog.
Yeah, he's
here
a
in town.
food blogger. He's got like 20,000 plus.
That's when I first heard of you. Was his review?
Really?
Yeah.
And luckily, I mean, Ken can be.
It's a blessing and a curse.
Yeah, a blessing and a curse, because it's like, I've seen a lot of, he harps on a lot of people, but like.
Well, that's why people value like his opinion,
because it's not all rosy.
It's true.
And,
yeah,
and he will engage.
It's authentic to him.
Yeah, he will engage, and he will comment back to anyone that tries to, I don't know, defend his art. He would just defend his argument. But I was lucky enough to get a great review, and then things really started blowing up with the football games and setting up on Main Street every day. I mean, it would like things were taking off. So I was selling out every single day for about 2 months, and I was just riding this high, like I'm gonna sleep 4 hours a day, like just get this done and grow the followers on social media and just really build this thing. And so things were going great. August, September, October, and then November came. November, I was riding this high, and we were probably about halfway through. So we were about like halfway through November, and it started getting real cold. And I don't know if you guys know anything about donuts, but they're very temperamental, they're very sensitive, and cold weather affects them dramatically. They need hot air to rise. It's a chemical reaction. And so when that cold hit and I was doing everything on the truck, I'd be going out there and be like 35 degrees. I have like 4 hoodies on, like just trying to like get these things to like warm up, and nothing. And so I couldn't control the weather. We didn't have the option to move inside, and so I kind of just dealt with it. There were some other warm days throughout November that we were able to sell.
Real quick, I'm sorry. I mean, the person that you got this idea from lives in Maine.
Yes.
But probably doesn't operate a food truck,
I
right?
think it's a
She
lot
doesn't have a
colder.
food truck. She's
So
got,
is that the problem? It's just a food truck?
It's the food
and
truck.
not-
It's the food trucks are not insulated well. Food trucks are a metal box,
Right.
And they get extremely cold. Like most days, it's colder in the truck than it is outside, and it's also hotter in the truck.
And the door's always open.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The door is always
Okay.
open, and it's really difficult to contain heat.
Got it.
I had like tried to solve this problem. I was like, oh my gosh, how can I move past this cold weather? Well, I couldn't. I tried to think of literally everything, and I just found days that were warm enough to work, and was just like, I'm just gonna have to toughen this out. So December came, and I was still looking for options of what am I gonna do, and finally, the commissary kitchen that I parked the truck at, working food off right behind Afternoon, across from Cypress and Grove by Max.
Yep.
They just finished their second kitchen, which is fully built out. I mean, it's a shiny new toy, and they were like, "Well, why don't you move in there?" And so I've been slowly. We've had a lot of hiccups along the way, but I've been slowly trying to move in there, and that's still ongoing. And so, because it's warmed back up, I'm still working off the truck for now. But once once things are fully ready, we'll get moved in that kitchen and eventually, hopefully, have our own dedicated production space just for Halo one day.
Okay, so that's specifically, I gotta learn how to talk. Specifically,
that's a hard one. Yeah.
For production only. It's not, you're not gonna be retailing them out of there.
So this, so one of the concepts that I'd played around with early on, the business plan was all about a brick and mortar kind of cafe, Starbucks-esque place. Well, one of the trends that I had noticed by writing that business plan was that people aren't so much about going and sitting in a place anymore. It's actually transitioning to pickup, and spaces that are doing well utilize 95% of their space and maybe have a 5% where they're able to pick up. And so I played around with this idea, and eventually my goal would be to have a full-on production kitchen where we're making everything. And maybe it has a pickup window, but we still have a food truck. And that's the mobile storefront that we can send out and do events or go put it on Main Street or 13th. And then eventually add on pull behind trailers and send them to the villages or send them to Tioga. And it's so much more cost effective than leasing a bunch of storefronts. Your overhead comes way down, and your events become so much more valuable. Sending 500 donuts to go do a elementary school with 2 employees can be really profitable and can grow your business. And so that's kind of the angle that I'm taking. And I really haven't seen it done anywhere else on the scale that I want to do it.
I have a question kind of about the mechanics. So, I would think you're on the food truck. Part of the appeal is you've got this fresh product, right?
Yeah.
You're making it on site.
Yep.
How does that change when you go to the production facility? I guess, how do you'll just have a certain amount of each kind, or do you still have people preparing specific flavors on site?
So previously we actually would make all the donuts just like we did today, start at 3 a.m. and work until 7 a.m. and then get ready to go and sell by 7:30. So we actually would roll up to a spot and open up the awning, and you're good to go. You're ready to sell. And the reason is because transporting hot oil is so dangerous, so messy. Like, you just don't even want to deal with that.
That's one of my questions is, have you gotten burned?
Yeah, absolutely. I've got so many scars. Yeah, I mean, I've got peeling potatoes, cutting my hand. Yeah, I mean, it's a tough job. But yeah, and to answer your question, in the future, moving into a full-on production space would just be increasing employees, ramping up the volume. Yeah. It's a volume game. Donuts are really cheap, so you got to sell a crap ton of donuts in order to cover all your expenses and get ahead. Yeah.
The one thing that I like that you do really well, and I understand that you do have a limited volume, but on your post, when you like post on Instagram or something or Facebook, and you're like, this is going to be the location, this is where we're at, open, you put the open time, you're like, from this time until this time, or sell out.
Yeah.
And I think that or sell out, I mean, it kind of creates a little bit of a sense of urgency of like, I better get there and get my donut.
I'll tell you something really interesting. So early on, obviously this is fall of last year, still me doing everything. And you got no idea, these donuts take forever. Hand rolled, hand cut, hand glazed. I mean, there's no machinery involved in any of this. I mean, it's very labor intensive. Well, when I would go and I would sell out within 45 minutes of a couple hundred donuts, and these people would be commenting, and they would comment on the post, "Where are you? We just missed you!" Like angry, like a mob, and they're like, "We're never coming back" or anything. What was really, this is one of the most fascinating things about this business so far, is the loyalty of my customers. So I didn't want to go and comment back to some of these people that were posting and kind of like attacking me for selling out. But what's interesting is my customers actually stood up for me. And they're like, listen, in any other city, Austin, Texas, LA, this is how food trucks work. If you've got a good product, you can only make so much of it in a food truck. And when you run out, you run out.
Barbecues, same way.
It's and kind of like tough luck type of thing. And I'm like, I wish I could make more. But when these people
I'm just saying, when I got down to my last 25 donuts, they'd be $25 a piece.
Yeah.
surge pricing.
Exactly.
I'm sorry, we're down to the last 25.
Yeah.
They're 25
Yeah,
bucks
like
a piece.
you got to fight it out in the parking lot over there.
Hunger Games.
Yeah, exactly. So it's just, as much as I wanted to produce more, doing those posts till sellout created that buzz, but it was also kind of like a backlash too. But ultimately, I think it brought more value than it did anything. I mean,
anytime you have haters, you're doing something right.
yeah.
Just know that.
And she deleted that comment.
That's just one thing that I've learned. Anytime you have somebody who's hating or naysaying, it's because they're jealous.
Yeah.
Or like they don't want to put in the work.
Like, all right,
Susie,
you got to get up an hour earlier and you got to come get your donuts.
I'm sorry you didn't get a donut today.
It's just way easier to tear other people down than to build yourself up or build others up.
Absolutely.
So it's like, well, let me tear you down to my level.
Yeah, absolutely.
Whatever. But that's cool, man.
Yeah.
So what's been like the most fascinating thing in your opinion up to this point about food truck life?
Fascinating thing. I got something really cool. So when I first launched, obviously you're uncertain. You don't know if anybody's even going to come to this truck. You had just got this shiny new $75,000 toy. You've got a loan payment every month. Like, holy crap, is this thing going to succeed? And for the first, I would say 2 to 3 weeks, I was rolling up on Main Street, and I was parking at the old Hi-Fi discount store. It's now
South
called,
Main?
South Main, right before the roundabouts.
The old red building?
Make Work, And, I was setting up there, and I would show up, and, within 5 to 10 minutes, I get my first customer, and then they start trickling in. Well, what was so fascinating is, like you said, when I put out that post, it's like the bat signal, but like the donut signal. It's like when you put out that post, you're like, how long is it going to take before the first customer? Well, eventually I had started to build up a loyal following, and these people knew that they needed to get there early. And so there was one day where I showed up, and the parking lot's full. There's at least 10, 12 cars there, and I'm thinking, oh yeah, like Make Work's got some event going on this morning. And I hop out of the truck, I'm taking my time, I start to unlock the awning, and I hear all these car doors. I turn around, I'm like, you guys here for the donuts? They're like, yeah, like we're literally, we need to take some to our work. And I started selling out, and I was like, okay, these people came once, maybe they'll see them in a month. Next week, same thing was happening with these same people. And that has been the most fascinating thing, just watching that. And I don't even think it's just about them coming to get a good donut. I think it's like the whole experience I'm providing, because I know like all of their names. I know what order they want, and that's one of the reasons why I created this is I wanted that old school kind of like donut shop feel without the donut shop. Like when you come here, like you're gonna have a conversation with me. I'm gonna know you, and that's why they keep coming back. So that's
really interesting. I mean, people want to belong. They're looking for something to connect to.
It's community.
They like latch onto this thing.
I mean, isn't that what's always been so special about small business?
Yeah.
Right. I mean, you're not getting that with Amazon.
Right.
No.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's just like, just the ability to build a relationship with a business owner and to continuously, have that experience. I mean, you're absolutely right.
Yeah.
It's just the experience.
And I got actually something else that's really, really interesting. I was talking about this last night. I had went and got a beer with Meg from First Magnitude, and funny, we went to Cypress and Grove and had it. But
I love that too. I love that even the beer joints, like
I'm
all
like,
the breweries
co-mingling.
Yeah, they do,
Which
man.
side are you on? Like,
it's awesome.
But we were sitting down, and she had asked me that question too. She's like, so what are the most interesting thing? And this is fast. This is actually more fascinating. The pricing that I've done throughout this business. So at first I started at $1. Because in my head, that's what I'd grown up with. 99-cent donuts, $1 donuts. Well, I wasn't even covering my cost. Like, first month, I was losing so much money. Well, then I started realizing, oh, crap, I need to raise the price. And so I went to $1.25. I'm like, no, I'm not even. I mean, for how many I'm producing, my labor that's going into this, no way. I'm like breaking even. So then I had to raise it again, like $1.75. And I'm like, oh, this is going to deter people away. No. Kept selling out. Well, then
$25 a donut.
Yeah. Well, then, so I'm like, okay, I need to regroup. And like, if I change it again, this is what it's going to have to be. And so I changed it to $2. Again, people were still coming and buying a dozen. And I'm like, no way. So then eventually I had to raise it to $2.25. And I'm like, okay, this is the threshold. Pfft, no, these people are still buying a dozen. But what's really interesting is, so back in January, I didn't have a lot of money. I sold my iPad. The money that I made from it, I decided I was going to go take a trip up to Portland, Maine, and meet Lee Kellis in person. So it was a Tuesday. I flew up there, and I was going to come back on a Thursday. And she didn't.
Well, this is when you canceled on our show.
This is exactly.
We were going to have you earlier, and you're like, I'm going to Maine.
Yeah,
I got this opportunity to meet a mentor.
Donut pilgrimage.
Yeah, that's exactly.
All right,
Every
I'll forgive you
donut
this
shop
time.
has to do it at least.
And so I flew up there, and I went to her newest location. She's got 3 locations now. Does $8 million in sales a year, and just donuts and coffee.
Wow.
It's unbelievable. So I sat down with her. I met her, extremely nice, and I had a list of questions. And one of them was about pricing, because I had obviously experienced like value pricing, like when does it stop type of thing. Well, she prices her donuts $2.56 plus tax each. And I asked her, and I said, do you think that's too much? Like, and she goes, well, you know, when I first started out, it was like $1, but then I, like same as you were, but then I realized like I was not covering anything. Like, this takes a lot of work. And she goes, Drew, you have to remember one thing. She goes, in America, everybody thinks that when you get donuts, they got to come in a dozen, and they got to be $1 a piece. She goes, but that same person will go down to Starbucks or their local pastry shop and pay $3.50, $4 for a muffin or a croissant. And she's like, don't think of this so much as just a donut, but almost like a pastry bakery item. And she said, so when somebody comes in and they bulk at the price, well, they don't have to get a dozen. And if they still are bulking at the price, well, you know that your product's good enough that the next guy's going to come and get it. So you can send them to your Dunkin' down the street or the other guy over here on 13th and send them on their way. And it's like, you either accept it or you don't. And you realize how much work goes into these. So don't feel bad for charging that much. And that's one of the biggest challenges that I've had to like overcome, is like, I feel guilty sometimes.
It's
a normal entrepreneurial, you know, is kind of adequately valuing your service, because it's not just this is not a factory produced I
don't
item.
Press a button and donuts drop out of the sky. I wish, but
I feel like this is common just as a human being. Like, and I mean, I'm experiencing something similar, and I'll explain. But you know, with my new agency, we're really coaching people up on like personal branding and stuff. And the one thing I keep saying or keep hearing from everybody is nobody wants to hear what I have to say. Like, why would anybody want to hear what I have to say? And they're not putting any value on themselves. And the thing that I've experienced is like, you have no idea. You know, they're so afraid of they're afraid of the negative comment, kind of going back to the post. Like they're afraid of getting that negative feedback, or they're afraid of not having anybody listen. You know, and and I'm just like, you have no idea. There's been so many times in my life where I'm like, why would anybody want to hear what I have to say? And then suddenly I find out like a lot of people actually care what I have to say.
Thousands of people listening to you.
And it's super interesting. And I think we, as businessmen and women, don't put enough value on ourselves and really even our experience. That's what people are paying for. They're not just paying for just the donut.
No,
they're paying for the entire experience. And we as entrepreneurs, I don't think, put enough value on that. It's my 2 cents.
That's really sound. I mean, there's
drop the mic.
There's a coach that I follow, and he talks about a concept of unique ability, right? That there is something specific that people reason why they choose to patronize your truck or your store, and if you can understand what that is and understand how that transcends your specific business too, then no matter what you do, that unique ability, carries forward. So you didn't just grab a recipe offline, and immediately you spent a lot of time. You refined it. You made connections. You did things. You did a lot of the work. That's made something that people really feel connected to, which is awesome.
And going forward, one of my goals is, and that time off in December and January allowed me a lot of time to like regroup and reflect of like, okay, what is this business going to look like going forward? What are my values going to be? What are things that I'm going to focus on? And Gainesville's a really, really unique place, and it's just such a mix of culture, such a mix of, I kind of say it's, that place called the Repurpose Project next to Satchel's? Gainesville is basically the Repurpose Project city. It's like just a hodgepodge of just everything. And so offering really wacky, unique branding with a unique product, but also focusing back on the community and I'm using locally sourced ingredients. I'm trying to give people a second chance that maybe wouldn't be hired by other people. So and I think it goes back to the whole, it completes the circle of that value added, because it's adding value if they realize where this product is coming from, and it's supporting their own community. Yeah.
So what's been the most valuable lesson that you've learned since starting?
What can go wrong will go wrong times like 100. Like, there was one night where I was on the truck and we had a huge event for the Rotary Club of Gainesville. It was a Friday night, and Saturday morning we were supposed to be there at 7 a.m. And this is right after I got the truck, and I had never had to like fill propane before on the truck, and I was running the fryer, like trying to get everything ready, and the propane shut off on me, and it was like 9 o'clock at night, and I'm like, oh crap, where do I take this? Will they come to me to fill up these tanks? Well, right at that time, lightning started coming down, torrential downpour. It's me and my girlfriend on the truck working, and I mean, it is just a disaster. And I'm calling around trying to figure out, how am I going to fill this propane up? And Tractor Supply is like, yeah, we're open, but because there was a lightning strike within 5 miles, you can't get your propane filled. And so it was at that night where I was like, stayed up all night until the rain ended, and Tractor Supply didn't open until 8 a.m. after the event. And I had to call it and cancel it, and that was like the first true test that was like, oh my gosh, like this is horrible. You've got like 500 children that want your donuts, and they're all commenting like, so excited for you to come and show up to the event today, and well, I wasn't able to show up.
You ever watch The Office?
Yeah.
It's like Scott's Tots.
Yeah, Scott's Tots.
The most painful episode of The Office.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's just like one example. I mean, when I tell you a food truck business is difficult, and there are some just crazy, wacky things that happen, that's not even like scratching the surface of everything you got to deal with. Yeah, I mean, I could literally sit here for like 3 hours and tell you everything crazy, but
yeah.
I've kind of a technical question, or how do you decide your hours and your availability? Have you kind of struck a formula that works?
Am I tired today?
Yeah. I mean, that is kind of one of the nice things about the model. I guess you have a lot of flexibility. But do you try to have a certain number of days a week you hit or something like that?
Well, okay. So for the first couple months, because it was just me, I was, like I said, I was riding that high. I was like, I'm just going to crank and go. Like 6 days a week, refresh on the 7th, and just go again the next week. And I was able to do that for 2 or 3 weeks, and then I just hit this wall. And that's when I started like, okay, I need to dial this back a little bit and maybe do 4 days a week. And I would say, okay, I would look at my sales and what were my busiest days. And I'd say Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and then use the other days to regroup and get cleaned up and ready to go again. And eventually it became weather dependent. Once the cold weather hit, but yeah, there's no real like formula to it.
So what does that mean for you? Like, I know that you're doing the production facility soon. That's going to help, right? You haven't done that yet.
No.
Okay. So that's going to help. But I mean, Like, did you just close for 3 months?
It was, so there's a lot of stuff that that's just what the public sees, but there's also I can't really talk much about it, but there's been some partner conflict, some investor conflict, and that has kind of stalled some things for a while, and that's ongoing. Trying to work through all that stuff.
That's a part of business, man.
Yeah,
it happens.
So there's all these different components to it. Like there's that piece. There's moving into the production space, but it's also okay. I've got to hire people because it's obvious I've got a volume issue and I've got a labor issue, and I don't want to kill myself working 20 hours a day anymore. And so it's just trying to like juggle how am I going to, align all these things to get open again and get open on a consistent basis, because that has been one of the most challenging things. Is like, when a food truck business, how are your customers going to be able to find you? Where are they going to find you? When are they going to find you? And when you're closed on certain days and you're getting calls and comments on your social media posts about, hey, where are you today? That can really deter someone from coming back. So it's just been,
when you do the production facility, I mean, are you looking at opportunities to possibly get into some of the local like coffee places so that when somebody does send that message, you can be like, oh, well, you can pick one up at Wyatt's Coffee, or
that's exactly
yes. Like
Wyatt's, we had done like a trial wholesale partnership. It went really well, but again, it went back to the volume issue. I just could not keep up with. I realized the reason why you do wholesale at this point in a business is either because you want exposure or you want to increase your sales. And I realized I didn't have an exposure problem. The demand was there. And so I need to pull back the wholesale partnership and kind of, again, regroup, because this is just like crazy. But going forward, I would love to do wholesale partnership with Wyatt's again. There's a place called Chelsea Coffee in Ocala that wants me on a daily basis. I want to talk to Lucky's. I want to talk to Whole Foods. Even the burger place.
the new one?
No, the one in Midtown, Relish.
Okay.
Relish once contacted me and wants my donuts on a display case.
Like a donut burger, maybe?
I don't know. I'm like, that sounds like a heart attack. But yeah, they had even contacted me about putting donuts in their location in Midtown for after the bar, because I can't get a location there. It's like the mafia, and they don't want anyone else taking away their customers, but they can sell it for me. And so that's definitely something I want to do in the future. I think that there's just so many opportunities, and this is way bigger than I even thought. And like I said, I had to regroup and figure about.
And do you think like the production facility will help with accomplishing a lot of that?
Absolutely. I think because it's going to be shared, it's going to be balancing hours, because you're competing against all the other entrepreneurs in there. I mean, we've got Brio Coffee, who's in town. There's another bakery that's constantly in there. And they're just.
Well, have you even looked at opportunities to sell like Brio off the truck as some, coffees and donuts go together? I mean, is that something that's.
Yeah, that's a partnership we want to do in the future.
Okay.
Because, we've got these really high quality donuts, and we want to pair it with something extremely high quality like Brio Coffee. But yeah, it's going to be a challenge balancing sharing that kitchen, but eventually I would love to have my own production space that was like, didn't have to share with anybody, could get deliveries, could do whatever I wanted 24 hours a day. Hopefully this year.
Yeah.
We'll see.
All right. So is that the goal? I mean, when you look at 2019, what are you looking at in terms of goals? You're like, by the end of this, are you sitting down and being like, by December 31st, 2019, I want to sell 10 million donuts? Or like what is it? What does goal setting look like for you?
So for the next 3 months, I would love to get into working food kitchen. I would love to hire 4 people, split them up between production, labor, selling. By summer, I would love to hire on 2 to 3 more additional people, as well as get a pull-behind trailer, another food truck ready to go send out to the football games that are going to happen in the fall, and continue the current food truck and go set it up at places.
And is that because you were running out so fast? Or
Yeah,
and you're like, I can sell more donuts.
Oh, I was driving down 13th yesterday, and this blows my mind every time. is you see all these students walking across the street, hundreds of them, and I'm like, these people don't even know that I exist. Like, I have literally not even scratched the surface. Like 0.01% of Gainesville maybe knows about this.
Because you haven't even done any marketing.
No,
Everything's been completely organic. It's just your social media. It's the blog by Eats Gainesville.
And for 2 months, I didn't even throw up a single post, and the followers jumped by 100. I'm like, huh? Like, this is... It's just, I don't know, it's just insane. And so, yeah, attacking that market, that student market.
I mean, the truck is probably your biggest advertiser itself. Like, driving
huge.
around, it's got a cool paint
I tell
job.
people, I don't think it would have been this popular if I would have went storefront in the beginning. There's something weird and wacky about Gainesville, that having a really unique blue food truck with a bunch of donuts on it and calling it Halo Potato Donuts, just like, you cannot forget that type of thing.
Yeah.
But it lends itself really well to the food truck experience too, which I think, some kinds of tacos, there's some things,
weird
it's a good
and wacky
fit.
and that's why I want to continue it in the future, is branching out more into food trucks, because I think I really do think I could replicate this all throughout Florida, all throughout the South, and then eventually I would love to franchise it out. There's a really interesting model. It's this, if you get a chance, it's called Cousin's Maine Lobster.
Yeah.
And they were on Shark Tank. And there was these two guys that they were from Maine, launched a lobster truck in California. Within 2 months, they ended up on Shark Tank. Barbara Corcoran invested, and now they do like $35 million in sales a year with like 20 trucks.
Have you met the one are they in Ocala? There's one that I've
There's
met.
one, nearby.
And the guy's super nice,
Yeah.
and I was asking him about it, but they got the brothers ended up getting that deal on Shark Tank.
They got the deal, and that model is just so
That was
fascinating
cool.
to me.
Yeah.
Because it just proves that you can build that model.
And it's kind of trendy right now. Like, the food truck thing is kind of trendy. It's super unique. I love the community that's built around it.
Mm-hmm.
Like, when they do these food truck events, and it's like I mean, technically they're all food trucks, aren't they? Competitors, but at the same time they all go to the same spot. And it's really not. It's really to me it's more of like it's the 2019 when you go to the mall, like the food court, if you will. Like, that's what it is.
That's exactly.
Like, my kids are going to go there. I'm going to go here. Wife's going to go there, and
It's like right now, there's 5 people in my household, and there are times when you want to watch 5 different shows.
Right.
And you can't. It's not ideal.
You can't bounce around.
Right. But it's the same kind of thing. I want tacos. My wife wants a salad. Kids would only eat donuts.
And going back to my goals for this year. So one of the goals is I want to start a Gainesville Food Truck Association. They're pretty prevalent in every other big city that's got a lot of food trucks, but we don't really have a good representation or leader for food trucks. And so, like you said, it's kind of like you're competing, but not really at the same time. Like, what I've noticed is there's just not good organization.
So what does that do?
So
what would that association be responsible for?
It would be responsible with communicating to the city, because I think that they need to ease up on some of their rules and guidelines. I mean, they've made it a little bit easier in the past couple of years, but it's still where you can park, when you can park there. Is it private property?
Is that because you have to get a permit for each place, or
for
like
each place?
And how long does that take? If you wanted to park,
usually it takes about a week to get the application sent in, and then you get it back. So you've got to be like on top of your game. If somebody calls in and says, "Hey, we need you for this event," you better know a week in advance so you can go get that application sent in.
And do you have to pay for each one, or is it like an annual pass?
No, so it's actually there's no. Once you're registered in the city of Gainesville for your food truck permit, it's just a blanket, and you can any additional permit, but it does take time. And there's lots of restrictions on it. So that's one of the goals. Another goal would
if you could improve it, like, how would you improve it?
I would want to work. I'd speed up the process. I'd also digitize it by speeding up the process. That all ties together. But also open up downtown.
Is it a paper form right now?
It's a paper form. Yeah.
Why? Just because you can't park a food truck downtown?
You can't park it downtown.
Is that just because they don't have the space, or like?
Yeah, there's space, and they, there's so many different places. Wyatt's is down there. Steamers is down there, and they don't want you to take away from their business. But I'm like, if somebody wants to go to a food truck, they're going to go for that food truck. Like, they're going to seek you out if they know where you are. And so, yeah, there's competition, but at the end of the day, if they want your food, they're going to go get your food. And so I think that I'd work on that. And then the other thing is, I think that Gainesville needs to build a dedicated food truck park. Like
you have in Austin and places like that.
That needs to happen. A place where you can leave your truck permanently, a place that maybe has, an entire production space that's, it could be shared, or you could just park it there. But
have you talked to Kelly from Big Island Bulls? Okay, like they have a food truck,
yeah,
and they're like from St. Augustine. Like that's like they have a restaurant like here in Gainesville, but their primary location is in St. Augustine, and they just did all that.
Really?
Like I could totally connect you with her. I think she would be a great person to talk to about that, because like they literally just went through that entire thing trying to create a food truck park in St. Augustine, and they got it done.
Yeah.
So I think she'd be perfect.
And another thing I want to accomplish with this is because it's a food truck, when you go do these events, you've got to pay event fees and stuff. And sometimes they can be just astronomical. And depending on what your food item is, like donuts, I have to sell a lot more than cilantro does. Like cilantro's average ticket, let's just say it's $10. Mine is $3 or $4. And when you're paying the same event price, that can be, that's killing me. You're taking 25% of the cut, while the other guy, you're taking 10% from him. And so that's one of the things that I want to go after too, and try and fix that whole system. Yeah.
So what would you need? You just need to get all the other food trucks involved?
Yeah, get it involved. Just get in contact with everyone and say, like, who's doing this event.
Just get all these artistically minded, entrepreneurs to agree on a single direction and focus.
Just really easy.
I don't have a food truck, but I'll help you do it.
I just think
we can figure it out.
Yeah, we need like affiliate memberships to get us a little discount.
If you ever want to open up the, do you own the place next door?
Yeah.
You should just turn that into a food truck park.
Yeah, you think?
Just knock.
What? Not next door, not the Earth Origins building. Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah, I'm like, whoever owns that needs to bulldoze it and turn it into a food truck park right here on 13.
Hey,
awesome.
I know who does. I can connect you.
Yeah. Let me sit down with them over some donuts.
That's always a good way to start a conversation. Just to walk in with donuts.
The table.
Hey, buddy, let me talk to you about something. Bring those donuts. Well, Joe, you have any last minute questions, man, before we wrap this up?
No, this has been illuminating. I don't know anything about the restaurant business, so I know a little more now. So.
It's super interesting, and I'm glad that we did wait a few months, because we wouldn't know about the challenges with the cold weather or the stuff that's been going on. That stuff's interesting to me.
Yeah.
Even hearing like some of the city stuff is interesting to me, because obviously as a huge responsibility that we feel with the podcast is really to kind of bring some of these things to light and to just let the city know, because like I'm and I know Joe is too, like we're just so invested into the future.
And I gotta add something too. This is completely random from what we've been talking about, but there was a podcast that you did. I forget her name, but she was talking a lot about mental health.
It's Kristen.
Kristen Gazelski.
So I watched that full episode, and throughout this entire process, I'm an extremely positive person, and you probably know that I've don't have all these demons and stuff going on inside my head. Well, when I watched that episode, I did a real self-reflection, and I actually ended up from that episode getting. Started seeing a psychiatrist, started getting on a prescription, and from that moment, my energy level, my positivity, just like she said, when she got prescribed medication for it, it's not like your depression completely goes away, but it just changes your entire
like a window
outlook on
opening.
life. So
was there something that led to that moment for you? Like what got you to that place though?
Obviously, I think that I've dealt with depression my entire life, to be honest with you. But I'm, like I said, I'm such a positive person that I kind of mask it. And when I started the business and I was riding all these highs for a while, when you start to hit these walls and the lows of entrepreneurship, you kind of oh my gosh, how am I really feeling? Self-reflection. It was so weird, because right at that time, that episode came out. And she said, she was just talking all about mental health and how she for the longest time had a hard time going and seeking help. Well, from that episode, and thank God, because your podcast has actually brought things to light like that and talk about it, I went and got help, and I've literally never been better. Like, I'm excited to go and do work all day now. Like before, where she talked about, like wanting to sleep all day. That was me. Like that, I did not want to get out of bed. I was dreading. And going back to how do you pick and choose your schedule, there were certain days where I was like, I'm just not feeling this today. Like I would rather just stay inside, not talk to anybody. But yeah, I just want to thank you. I want to thank her for talking. I mean, literally an hour on mental health when I'm going through all that stuff and like a really, really tough time of the business.
I think that was the best episode you've done.
Really?
Oh yeah. I mean,
I don't have
amazing
any depression issues, but I have family members who have, and I thought it was really illuminating.
Yeah.
Well, I can tell you this, just hearing that kind of feedback gives me more purpose to continue to do this.
Oh, heck yeah.
It's incredible how I'm in a place where I don't need a lot of motivation.
Yeah.
I'm amped. I was started my day at 4:30 a.m. this morning, and I'm go all day. And I am also a super high energy person.
My mom's in town right now from Ohio. She's visiting, and she just wanted to help out for the business for the past couple of weeks. And she was like, "Good luck at your podcast today." How is that Collin guy? Is he like high energy? And I'm like, he's like the Duracell bunny. I'm like, he just goes and goes.
I like how you mix two brands there.
Oh yeah, no, is it Duracell? Is it
Energizer?
Energizer. Sorry.
No, dude.
Yeah, I've been to a Radio Shack. And,
they need to work on their branding some. No, I mean,
you're like Ronald McBurger King.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah,
it's it definitely, I mean, I could say like the one thing that, like I said, I don't need a lot of motivation, but it feels good when I get a Facebook message or a LinkedIn message or just hearing something like that. Like that's all I need. And if something like that has happened, whether you made a new connection with somebody in the community or your life has been changed because of a particular episode, I would just love to know. I mean, if you just drop me an email
I've heard that people have moved back to. Is that true? People have literally moved back to Gainesville from this episode.
I don't know if they have done it yet, but we've had messages saying because of your podcast, we're coming back. Yeah. It's really, really cool. It's really inspiring. I definitely, the fun thing is like we've talked about monetizing. We haven't asked for money yet, but this is expensive. Yeah. And we're going to have to figure out a way to like really, continue this stream that I have of using this to really build up this community. Yeah. But for now, that will do. Like that will just that will help me just keep me motivated to get another step further. So thank you for sharing that. That's
absolutely.
Really, really cool.
I just felt like I had to put it out there because I'm like, again, going back to adding value. This podcast has added so much value literally in my life. And not even that, but like those 20-hour days I was working on the truck, guess what I had on in the background? I would crank up the speaker, get the fryer going, like at 3 a.m. in the morning, and I'd either put on How I Built This from Guy Raz or your podcast. And it's just like, and literally I'd be like cranking away at donuts listening to the Krispy Kreme episode. Yeah. I'm like, this is so just so ironic, the whole thing. So yeah, it's really cool what you're doing.
Awesome, man. Well, thank you so much. I mean, I appreciate you being on the show, telling your story. And for letting me put you off until this point, because it was
thanks
definitely
for still having me on.
Yeah. No, it's awesome, and I'm glad that the episode that we had you scheduled for that you canceled, turned out to be a really, really, really good reason. Trip. I was like, what? He's canceling being on my show? Are you serious? I'm just kidding. But no, that was a really, really good reason, and it sounds like that was a perfect mentor. I'm always talking about having, solid mentors in your life, and then again having Junior Achievement and how what you guys are doing to mentoring a lot of these students.
Yeah, and I want to get involved.
Too.
If you need that hourly, if you need the 1 hour a week volunteer.
Excellent. Yeah, absolutely.
I'll bring in donuts and
man. There's in elementary school, one of the programs is specifically like a donut shop that the kids
really
have.
Cool.
That's cool. They always remember that one. I think that's like third grade or something.
Yeah, that's aweswell.
Yeah.
Well, I really appreciate.
They're not artisanal potato donuts, but
it'll
do. Start them.
Okay. Well, real quick, because I know that this is where people do find you, what are your social media handles, that kind of thing?
Yeah, so Instagram is probably the most I post most often. It's at Halo Potato Donuts, and that's DONUTS. Same thing for Facebook, and then the website is halopotatodonuts.com. Yeah,
cool.
And I normally keep everyone up to date on hours and stuff like that, so where you can find us.
Awesome. Yeah. Well, thank you both so much for being here.
Thanks for having us.
And it was a real pleasure. And Gainesville, this is the WHOA GNV podcast, the podcast bringing you businesses and individuals that make you go, whoa. We will see you later. Bye.